Hey guys, it's the Gundam Boy, and today we're going to be looking at one of the most dead weapons in the game. The sterilizer. But nothing makes me more sterile than having to work on this video. Oh, this weapon was a pain. Like, the usual process I have for when I make a video is that I usually cover things that are interesting to me or a topic that I find is really cool and want to talk about it with you guys. However, for today's video, that is not the case. In fact, I really don't like the sterilizer. Yes, safe, you're booing, you three sterilizer fans, I understand. The sterilizer isn't even that bad of a weapon in concept. However, the execution makes me feel otherwise. The reason we are going to be talking about the sterilizer today is because Arrowhead has this bad habit of missing certain gear that could use a good buff. A perfect example of this is the Cutting Edge Warbond, with the Plasma Punisher being introduced way back in 2024, but had its projectile fix about a year and 7 months later. And 11 days. And for some more context, the Plasma Punisher had a projectile damage that wasn't actually hitting the enemy because it would explode before it hit anything. Of course, you have to give Arrowhead a bit of the benefit of the doubt. The game started falling apart at one point with that one Into the Unbugged update, but with the game being a bit more stable as late, it's always a good time to go back and try to make the old gear a bit better. But Sterilizer is a bit more of a unique case. It was like if Lucifer fell straight down to hell on his first day. But let's take a look at this weapon's stats to see what we're working with. Of course, you can avoid this weapon in the Chemical Agents Warbond. So its stats is that it deals 1 damage with the actual stream of the gas, while also applying a confusion effect, and the gas engulfs the enemy, doing exactly 25 damage. And because it can do that much damage, you know what it can kill in 1 mag?
Hey, Gundam Boy, what are you doing? No, stop it. Stop it, don't you dare. Put Stary down. There's no way a mech is gonna get killed by the goddamn sterilizer. God!
All jokes aside, you get 100 capacity and 4 reloads. It has a range of 30 meters, which isn't too bad. Now, the stats isn't the biggest problem about this weapon. Yes, it's low, but goddammit, this has to be one of the worst ways to apply gas in the game. Especially when you gotta contest against weapons like the Whaler's Rifle, Stinky Dog, Evil Stim Gun, and Toxidiver in a Can, and Motor Sentry, and the Stink Bomb from the gods, Orbital Gas. Gear that is all capable of applying it at a safe distance with stronger effects, since 3 of them leaves a whole stink bomb that's the width of a Redditor behind. Sterilizer is not supposed to be a super killer, as it's often compared to the recently buffed Fire, which can do a better job at even halting enemies, which just took the whole job role away from the gas weapons. But mostly from Sterilizer, because everything else is doing fine. But let's talk about how it fares on every enemy front, starting... No, we're not going to be doing it this way. This weapon is not a killer, and against bigger health pool enemies, it's like trying to kill a hippo with a can of Raid, or it's like hand sanitizer that kills 1% of the germs. Only the lowest of the low chaff units in this game will die with 1 spray. Scavengers, hunters, the rest of the enemy units here need more prolonged exposure to actually kill them. And don't even bother using it against the heavy units because they're completely immune to the confusion effect of gas, and they only receive 25 damage a tick. Gas has been a great option for locking down enemy paths, but the damage type itself could use a slight buff to make it feel better. But how do you save one of the worst weapons we've ever seen in the game? So let's take a look at how we could save the Sterilizer. And if Arrowhead was to actually go through with these buffs, it would probably affect other weapons if they ever thought about changing it, since all the fire weapons received a similar adjustment when they got changed. Starting with the duration, I gotta say, I think gas that melts your skin and liquefies your lungs shouldn't last 9 seconds. Sterilizer doesn't get the ability to leave lingering gas around the area to make sure enemies stay stinked up, which means you're always ripping this weapon and constantly sweeping to hit targets. Like getting hit by pepper spray can be an all-day thing if you don't have milk on hand. You're telling my liquefying acid gun doesn't do anything for more than 9 seconds? I think overall, it could use a longer time to affect enemies, allowing it to play in its crowd control niche. Next thing I want to talk about is the overall effectiveness of gas. Enemies don't seem to react hard enough to the effects of gas. Bugs will waddle towards you to get 1 hit in before it seems like the gas even kicks in. Specifically to the Sterilizer, it feels like a 50-50 chance of the enemy being affected by gas. Sometimes enemies get redirected, other times they walk up, hit you, and then get redirected. Like there's some sort of delay. It sounds like a very easy fix. All you really need to do is adjust the status effect levels and bump it up a little bit higher so that it's more effective against enemies. Next up, gas application has been heavily reliant on having clouds to cover enemies, which the Sterilizer doesn't have the benefit of. I think we could give the gas a bit more range, but also allow it to penetrate enemies easily in massive crowds. Again, a very simple and easy fix for this one, and a popular request to the devs is to make it so that the Sterilizer is capable of decreasing armor, similar to Acid Planet. Basically, say you hit a Hulk with this gas, it would
would down their armor pin to 3 as opposed to its 4, which would make great for team play opportunities. Hulk rounds the corner, gets gassed, and then he gets mowed down in the next. And it would be a neat option for countering things like War Striders, as they do have heavy armor. And an idea that I thought about personally for the sterilizer is to have a nozzle adjustment, as you could fire in a straight line as usual, but the second firing mode would trade off all that length for a wider angle of attack, allowing you to spray more enemies up close and cover a bigger distance, which I thought would just be a fun little add-on, which would also save a lot of divers having to sweep left and right constantly. And one of the last adjustments I would make overall for gas, specifically with the armor passive, is that I would make it have way more defense, like if you had vitality enhancement on. And then once you put vitality enhancement on, it would make you 100% immune to the gas, because we only have the heavy armor allowing you to actually reach a true state of immunity. I think these buffs could be a fun adjustment for gas. Some of these would probably affect all the other gas weapons, like the armor melting or the duration, but the point of these buffs aren't to make it the next flamethrower, but instead have it further niche into its area denial interference role. But who cares about that? Look at that. Is that the new mech? Ah!